Outside balloon installations can be riddled with problems. Here's what you need to know to build a balloon column that'll survive outside. My first tip is use a quality balloon brand. I'm using 36 Qualatex 11-inch balloons for my column today. Other brands I've used are Tuftex and Bellatex. This is not the time to be using dollar store balloons, as those tend to be a lot thinner and more prone to popping. For today's project, I'm using an electric balloon inflator as well as a balloon sizer box to size all of my round balloons to 8 inches in diameter. Not only will this give our column consistent sizing all the way up, but by fully inflating the latex balloon to its full size and then letting air out of it until it fits through the 8-inch hole in my sizer box means we're going to underinflate our latex balloons. And if it's going to be hot outside where this column will be placed, that means the air inside our balloons will have more room to expand and will be less likely to pop. When designing your column, choose your colors carefully. All latex balloons will start biodegrading when they're out in the sunlight, and this means they'll get hazy or velvety and won't have that super shiny look anymore. Dark colored balloons show this more readily than light colored balloons. So if you know you're going to be out in the direct sunlight, try to choose lighter colors for your balloon design over darker colors. There are balloon shine sprays that can be applied to mitigate this, but they all have their pros and cons. If you'd like me to take a deep dive into this, let me know in the description box below. Once all the 8-inch balloons are inflated, we then need to tie them into quads of the same color. So I'm going to take 2 balloons of the same color, wrap the nozzles around twice, and tie them together into a simple knot. This will create a pair. Now I'm going to make a second pair in the exact same way and bring the 2 pairs together so that the nozzles overlap, and then twist 1 balloon from each of those pairs around each other, locking them into a quad. I'm going to repeat this step until all my balloons are tied into quads and we're ready to start assembling the column. Normally I'd use my PVC pipe balloon stands, but because these are going outside, I'm using these adjustable backdrop stand side poles, the exact same backdrop that's holding the fabric up behind me. Now I specifically chose to use these because the base of these stands are these heavy metal plates. They're really wide and really heavy, and I can secure my pole directly into these and tighten down the screw so I don't have to worry about my pillars tipping over in the wind. To attach my balloons to the stand, I'm going to take my first red quad and slip it around the pole so that the center pole is touching the nozzles of my quad, and then take the 2 balloons with the pole in between them and twist them around each other, and this will lock the quad to the stand, and I don't have to worry about any of my balloons popping off and flying away. I'm going to add my next quad in the exact same way, but once I get this one attached to the pole, I want to rotate this quad around so 1 balloon of the current quad is sitting between 2 balloons of the quad below it. From here, I'm going to keep adding quads, alternating the colors between red, white, red, black, so that red is my primary color as it will fare really well out in the heat, but I still get those lovely white and black accent colors. If this video has been helpful to you, boop that like button, hit subscribe, and consider joining our Patreon group. Patrons get exclusive access to bonus material, behind-the-scenes glimpses, and if you join at the Party Maker level, you'll have access to my entire library of digital plans and balloon recipes. Now when adding that final quad to the top of the column, sometimes it's a little difficult to get it twisted around the stand. So I like to put one hand on the top of the stand and hold the balloon quad down as I twist 2 balloons around each other, and that way it doesn't pop off the top while I'm trying to hold it in place. Now that I've got all the balloons attached to the stand, I'm going to cover it in a balloon bag and unscrew it from the base for easy transportation. To give this column a lot of energy and movement, I'm going to create a 260 spray out of the top of this column using 30 260 balloons, 10 balloons in each of my 3 colors. Now I'm going to fully inflate each of these 260 balloons using a hand pump, or you can also use an electric pump because there is so many of them. So once I get it fully inflated, I want to double check the end and make sure it's nice and rounded. If it is, then I'll just tie it off in a knot and do this until I've got all 30 of my 260 balloons fully inflated, and then I'll take 2 of those balloons and tie the nozzles together into a pair. So just wrap the nozzles around twice and tie them in a double knot. Once I've got all of my 260s tied into pairs, we can then join them together into a gigantic energetic spray. To make the spray, take 2 pairs and overlap them so that the nozzles are touching right in the center, and then twist 2 balloons around each other, just like you would a quad. Now to this, we're going to grab another pair, making sure the nozzles touch the nozzles of my other balloons, and then wrap 1 balloon from this new pair around a balloon that's already in the spray. Then I'll continue adding 260s to the spray in the exact same way until I have a gigantic mass of these 260s spreading out in all directions. It adds so much energy to the top of a column and looks really gorgeous blowing in the wind of an outside display. Now once I've got all these 260s attached together, I'm going to take an empty 260 balloon, wrap it across the center of the spray, making sure that it touches the nozzles of all those balloons, and then tie it in a double knot. I'm going to leave the tails of this empty 260 nice and long because that's how we'll secure the spray to the pillar once we get on site. So now I'm just going to wrap this up in a bag, throw it in the back of my car, and let's head to the venue. When setting up your balloon designs outside, try and place them somewhere they'll be protected from the elements if at all possible. That means out of direct sunlight and somewhere where they'll be protected from high winds. There may be times, however, when we don't have ideal locations to set up the balloon display. If that happens, try and set up your balloons as close to the start of the event as possible. That way, when the balloons are looking their very best, will be during the event time and not an hour or two ahead of time when there's no one there to enjoy them. Now let's add the spray to the column. Set it in the very center of that topmost quad, and then stretch that empty 260 tight and wrap it in a figure 8 pattern around a couple of the balloons in the column. Then take the other end of that tail, wrap it around a couple of balloons as well, and that'll hold the spray in place. Then just arrange the 260 balloons until you're happy with how they're sitting, and this column is ready to brave the elements for a fantastic party. If you enjoyed today's project, you should check out this video next. So until the next one, remember, stay creative, everybody!